Now, from what I remember, this is like the first lost episode creepypasta. Let me see if I can get a picture, too. There's a picture... What the fuck is this? Okay. Well, this is the picture that the creepypasta page is giving me. Alright, let me just put that in the corner and... BAM! Boo! Scary! Isn't that just the scariest thing you've seen in your life? Oh, this is gonna be great. And now, let's just jump right into it. I mean, I don't really have anything to say for this morning. I'm a little tired, if I'm gonna be honest. I'm a little eepy. So we're gonna start with suicidemouse.avi. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna do all, like, lost episode stuffs, but this is what we're gonna start with. This is like the OG, if I remember. This is like the first lost episode, creepypasta. It has an 8.74 out of 10. Let's see if this is any good, huh? Alright. I didn't get myself any water. My throat's gonna kill me by the end of this again. Okay. Suicide Mouse. So, do any of you remember those Mickey Mouse cartoons from the 1930s? The ones that were just put out on DVD a few years ago. Well, I hear there's one that was unreleased to even the most avid of classic Disney fans. According to sources, it's nothing special. It's just a continuous loop, like Flintstones, of Mickey walking past 6 buildings that go on for 2 or 3 minutes before fading out. Unlike the cutesy tunes put in, though, the song on this cartoon was not a song at all. Just a constant banging on a piano for a minute and a half before going to white noise for the remainder of the film. It wasn't the jolly old Mickey we've come to love, either. Mickey wasn't dancing, not even smiling, just kind of walking as if you or I were walking, with a normal facial expression. But for some reason, his head tilted to the side as he kept this dismal look, and then the image that you see now pops up on screen. I don't know, that seems a lot more than dismal, if you ask me. That's a little much, I think, for just dismal. How's the audio? I'm listening again, because I'm paranoid. That's a little much, I think. It's fine. I feel like I could turn down the music just a teensy bit. Just a teeny tiny bit, because it's like fighting with my voice. Alright. Up until a year or two ago, everyone believed that after it cut to black, and that was it. Wait, what? Up until a year or two ago, everyone believed that after it cut to black, and that was it. That's how the sentence is written. Alright. When Leonard Maltin was reviewing the cartoon to be put in the complete series, he decided it was too junk to be on the DVD, but wanted to have a digital copy due to the fact that it was a creation of Walt. When he had a digitized version up on his computer to look at the file, he noticed something. Excuse me. The cartoon was actually 9 minutes and 4 seconds long. This is what my source emailed to me in full. He's a personal assistant of one of the higher executives at Disney, and an acquaintance of Mr. Maltin himself. After it cut to black, it stayed like that until the 6th minute, before going back into Mickey walking. The sound was different this time. It was a murmur. It wasn't a language, but more like a gurgled cry. As the noise got more indistinguishable and louder over the next minute, the picture began to get weird. The sidewalk... Sorry. I got a text, hold on. Okay, sorry about that. The sidewalk started to go in directions that seemed impossible, based on the physics of Mickey's walking. The physics? Okay. And the dismal face of the mouse was slowly curling into a smirk. On the 7th minute, the murmur turned into a blood-curdling scream, the kind of scream painful to hear, and the picture was getting more obscure. Colors were happening that shouldn't have been possible at the time. Mickey's face began to fall apart. His eyes rolled on the bottom of his chin like 2 marbles in a fishbowl, and his curled smile was pointing upwards on the left side of his face. The buildings became rubble, floating in midair, and the sidewalk was still impossibly navigating in warped directions, a few seeming inconceivable with what we, as humans, know about direction. What the fuck does that even mean? How? What? Okay. We got an Eldritch Lovecraftian video here. Mr. Malton got disturbed and left the room, sending an employee to finish the video and take notes of everything happening up until the last second. This disturbs me. Peasants, you do it. And afterwards, immediately stored the disc of the cartoon into the vault. This distorted screaming lasted until 8 minutes and a few seconds in, and then it abruptly cuts to Mickey Mouse's face at the credits of the end of every video with what sounded like a broken music box playing in the background. This happened for about 30 seconds, and whatever was in that remaining 30 seconds I haven't been able to get a sliver of information about. From a security guard working under me who was making rounds outside that room, I was told that after the last frame, the employee stumbled out of the room with a pale skin, saying, "Real suffering is not known," 7 times, before speedily taking the guard's pistol and offing himself on the spot. Okay. Alright. Wait, so he says it 7 times. He goes, "Real suffering is not known. Real suffering is not known. Real suffering is not known." Like for 7 full seconds, and then he shoots himself. First of all, who is this guy? Is it just an employee who managed to take the guard's pistol? First of all, that has to be the worst guard to exist. Poor gun security on that guard. He should immediately be fired. Oh, and second of all, what is this, The Ring? Why do you have to say it 7 times? Excuse me. The thing I could get out of Leonard Maltin was that the last frame was a piece of Russian text that roughly said, "The sights of hell bring its viewers back in." As far as I know, no one else has seen it, but there have been dozens of attempts at getting the file on Rapid Share by employees inside the studios, all of whom had been promptly terminated of their jobs. Whether it got online or not is up for debate, but if rumors serve me right, it's online somewhere under suicidemouse.avi. If you ever find a copy of the film, I want you to never view it, and to contact me by phone immediately, regardless of the time. When a Disney death is covered up as well as this, it means this has to be something huge. Get back to me. TR. I've yet to find a copy of this, but it's out there. I know it. So, honestly, kind of a nothing burger. It's just basically a guy saying, there's a video out there of Mickey Mouse. There's like an Eldritch video of Mickey Mouse, and if you watch it, you kill yourself. That's the whole thing. That's the whole story. That's it. Okay, that should be good. Alright. So yes, next we are reading Lavender Town Syndrome. So from my memory of this one, it's less than a minute. This is gonna go by in like seconds. From my memory of this one, it was kind of spooky. But again, as kids, everything is spooky, right? I think the only creepypasta that I, like, straight up hated, creepypastas that I straight up, like, hated and, like, didn't like as a kid were, like, the murder teens, you know, like Jeff the Killer, Jane the Killer, Clockwork, all of them. Now I find them batshit insane and hilarious. But for the most part, I was into, like, gaming creepypastas and shit, because, you know, I'm that gamer, I'm that professional gamer, you know what I'm saying? And yeah, so Lavender Town was one of the ones that I listened to. Lavender Town was one of the ones that I listened to. Or read, I should say. Lavender Town was one of the ones I read. So I don't know how this is gonna go. It's less than a minute. I'm basically just wasting time by yapping, so let's just jump into it. We're gonna finish this in like 5 seconds. So here we go. Lavender Town Syndrome. The Lavender Town Syndrome, also known as the Lavender Town Tone or the Lavender Town Suicides, was a peak in suicides and illness of children between the age of 7 and 12. Shortly after the release of Pokemon Red and Green in Japan, back in February 27th, 1996, rumors say that these suicides and illnesses only occurred after the children playing the game reached Lavender Town, whose theme music had extremely high frequencies that studies showed that only children and young teens can hear since their ears are more sensitive. Alright, let's go with that. Due to Lavender Town, at least 200 children supposedly committed suicide, and many more developed illnesses and afflictions. The children who committed suicide usually did so by hanging or jumping from heights. Those who did not act irrationally complained of severe headaches after listening to Lavender Town's theme. When a song is so bad, apparently. Although I like Lavender Town, I think it's soothing. I might be psychotic for that one, but yeah, I think Lavender Town is soothing. Although Lavender Town now sounds differently depending on the game, this mass hysteria was caused by the first Pokemon game released. After the Lavender Town incident, the programmers had fixed Lavender Town's theme music to be at a lower frequency, and since then the children are no longer afflicted by it. Sorry. So what? It was just too high pitched that made people kill themselves. They're like, "Oh, this sucks!" And then they okay. One video appeared in 2010 using special software, in quotations, special software, to analyze the audio of Lavender Town's music. When played, the software created images of the unknown near the end of the audio. This raised a controversy since the unknown didn't appear until Generation 2 games, Silver, Gold, and Crystal. The unknown translate to leave now. There is also the said beta version of Lavender Town. It is said that the beta version of Pocket Monsters was released to some kids to test the games. This is the video of the beta version of Lavender Town. And then that's what we're listening to right now, by the way. We're listening to the beta video right now. Beta Lavender Town video. Are your ears bleeding yet? Are you dying yet? Do you feel the pain in your scalp and your brain? Rushing from your head all the way to your toes? You're dying. The frequencies are so loud that you're going to die. I thought this story had, like, bleeding from the eyes or some shit. I thought it was, like, insane. It was like, oh yeah, people bled from the eyes when they heard this song, in the ears. Maybe that was, like, a revision or, like, a non-canon edition or something. Verdict? Awful. Like, stupid. Also a nothing burger, by the way. Nothing... I mean, 200 kids died, apparently, but nothing nothing substantial happened. It was literally just... I mean, the only supernatural thing is that in the special software, they found Pokemon that didn't exist yet that spell out leave now. Which arguably could just be seen as an Easter egg. And basically, they're trying to pass off that the frequencies were so loud that people just died, and that's the story. What a load of shit. Alright. Also, comments. There's comments on these creepypastas. Comments. I listened to it. It made me twitch more than usual. And then the reply to that, you bugging. This song makes my head feel fuzzy. I'm vibing. Yeah, see, that's an... Piss Drinker 69 is the most normal of the people here. I'm vibing with the song. Oh my god. Here we go. Estimated reading time 7 minutes. Welcome to Red Mist, also originally known as Squidward Suicide. Here we go. I just want to start off by saying, if you want an answer at the end, prepare to be disappointed. There just isn't one. I was an intern at Nickelodeon Studios for a year in 2005 for my degree in animation. It wasn't paid, of course, most internships aren't, but I did have some perks beyond education. To adults, it might not seem like a big one, but most kids at the time would go crazy over it. Now, since I work directly with the editors and animators, I got to view the new episodes days before they aired. I'll get right to it without giving too many unnecessary details. They had very recently made the SpongeBob movie, and the entire staff was somewhat sapped of their creativity, so it took them longer to start up the season. But the delay lasted longer for more upsetting reasons. There was a problem with the Series 4 premiere that set everyone and everything back for several months. Me and 2 other interns were in the editing room along with the lead animators and sound editors for the final cut. We received a copy that was supposed to be Fear of a Krabby Patty and gathered around the screen to watch. Now, given that it isn't final yet, animators often put a mock title card, sort of an inside joke for us, with phony, oftentimes lewd titles, like How Sex Doesn't Work instead of Rockabye Bivalve. Is that how you say that? When SpongeBob and Patrick adopt a sea scallop. Bivalve. Nothing particularly funny, but work-related chuckles. So when we saw the title card, Squidward Suicide, we didn't think it more than a morbid joke. One of the interns did a small throat laugh at it. The happy-go-lucky music played as normal. The story began with Squidward practicing his clarinet, hitting a few sour notes like normal. We hear SpongeBob laughing outside, and Squidward stops, yelling at him to keep it down as he has a concert that night and needs to practice. SpongeBob says okay and goes to see Sandy with Patrick. The bubble splash screen comes up, and we see the ending of Squidward's concert. This is where things began to seem off. While playing, a few frames repeated themselves, but the sound doesn't. At this point, sound isn't synced up with animation, so yes, that's not common. Oh, the sound is synced up with animation. Sorry. But when he stopped playing, the sound finishes as if the skips never happened. There's a slight murmuring in the crowd before they begin to boo him. Not normal cartoon booing that's common in the show, but you could very clearly hear the malice in it. Squidward's in full frame and looks visibly afraid. The shot goes to the crowd with SpongeBob in center frame, and he too is booing. Very much unlike him. That isn't the oddest thing, though. What is odd is everyone had hyper-realistic eyes. Return of the hyper-realism! Oh. Oh my god, okay. Very detailed. Clearly not shots of real people's eyes, but something a bit more real than CGI. What in the fuck does that mean? The pupils were red. Some of us looked at each other, obviously confused, but since we weren't the writers, we didn't question its appeal to children yet. What do you mean its appeal to children? If I was a child, and I was watching this episode, and all of a sudden I saw hyper-realistic eyes coming from every character in the crowd of the show, I would shit my pants. Kind of like the fucking butterfly episode. The shot goes to Squidward, sitting on the edge of his bed, looking very forlorn. The view out of his porthole window is of a night sky, so it isn't very long after the concert. The unsettling part is at this point there was no sound. Literally no sound. Not even the feedback from the speakers in the room. It's as if the speakers were turned off. Though their status showed them working perfectly. He just sat there, blinking, in this silence for about 30 seconds. Then he started to sob softly. He put his hands, tentacles, over his eyes and cried quietly for a full minute. Thank you for the clarification. All the while, the sound in the background, very slowly growing from nothing to barely audible, it sounded like a slight breeze through a forest. The screen slowly began to zoom in on his face, and by slow, I mean it's only noticeable if you look at the shots 10 seconds apart side by side. His sobbing gets louder, more full of hurt and anger. The screen then twitches a bit, as if it twists in on itself for a split second, then back to normal. The wind through the trees sound gets slowly louder and more severe, as if a storm is brewing somewhere. The eerie part is this sound and Squidward sobbing. It sounded real. As if the sound wasn't coming from the speakers, but as if the speakers were holes and the sound was coming through them from the other side. That's what speakers are, dumbass! So speakers! As good as sound as the studio likes to have, they don't purchase the equipment to be that good to produce sound of that quality. Below the sound of the wind and sobbing, very faint, something sounded like laughing. It came at odd intervals and never lasted more than a second, so you had a hard time pinning it. We watched this show twice, so pardon me if things sound too specific, but I've had time to think about them. Okay. After 30 seconds of this, the screen blurred and twitched violently as if something flashed over the screen. Yeah, the blur and the twitch flashed over the screen. That's why it blurred and twitched. As if a single frame was replaced. The lead animation editor paused and rewound frame by frame. What we saw was horrible. It was a still photo of a dead child. He couldn't have been more than 6. The face was mangled and bloodied. One eye dangling over his upturned face popped. He was naked down to his underwear, his stomach crudely cut open and his entrails lying beside him. He was laying on some pavement that was probably a road. Why does that matter? What he was laying on. Alright. The most upsetting part was there was a shadow of the photographer. There was no crime tape, no evidence tags or markers. The angle was completely off for a shot designed to be evidence. It would seem the photographer was the person responsible for the child's death. We were, of course, mortified, but pressed on, hoping that it was just a sick joke. The screen flipped back to Squidward, still sobbing, louder than before, and half his body in frame. There was now what appeared to be blood running down his face from his eyes. The blood was also done in hyper-realistic style, looking as if you touched it, you'd get blood on your fingers. The wind sounded now as if it were that of a gale blowing through the forest. There were even snapping sounds of branches, then laughing. I can't play this. This is from a movie. I have to jump ahead. Sorry for the interruption. Okay. Continue. The sounds of the gale, the branches. The laughing. A deep baritone lasting at longer intervals and coming more frequently. After about 20 seconds, the screen again twisted and showed a single frame photo. The editor was reluctant to go back. I mean, we all were. But he knew he had to. This time the photo was that of what appeared to be a little girl. No older than the first child. She was laying on her stomach, her barrettes in a pool of blood next to her. Her left eye was too popped out and popped. Huh? Her left eye was too popped out and popped, naked except for underpants. Her entrails were piled on top of her, above her crude cut along her back. Again, the body was on a street, and the photographer's shadow was visible. Very similar in size and shape to the first. I had to choke back vomit, and one intern, the only female in the room, ran out. The show resumed. The fucking women, am I right? Can't handle seeing a dead body. She got out of here. Now that the pussies are gone. Oh, why does that matter? Alright. About 5 seconds after this photo played, Squidward was silent, as did all sound, like it was when the scene had started. He put his tentacles down and his eyes were now done in hyper-realism, like the others were in the beginning of the episode. Weren't they already? Whatever. They were bleeding, bloodshot, and pulsating. He just stared at the screen as if watching the viewer. After about 10 seconds, he started sobbing. This time not covering his eyes. The sound was piercing and loud, and most fear-inducing of all, his sobbing was mixed with screams. Tears and blood were dripping down his face at a heavy rate. The wind sound came back, and so did the deep-voiced laugh. And this time, the still photo lasted for 5 frames. The animator was able to stop it on the 4th, and backed up. This time the photo was of a boy, about the same age, but this time the scene was different. The entrails were just being pulled out from a stomach wound by a large hand. The right eye popped and dangling, blood trickling down it. The animator proceeded. It was hard to believe, but the next one was different, but we couldn't tell what. He went on to the next. Same thing. He went back to the first and played them quicker, and I lost it. I vomited on the floor. The animating, the sound editors gasping at the screen. The 5 frames were not as if they were 5 different photos. They were played out as if they were frames from a video. We saw the hand slowly lift out the guts. We saw the kid's eyes focus on it. We even saw 2 frames of the kid beginning to blink. The lead sound editor told us to stop. He had to call in the creator to see this. Mr. Hillenberg arrived within 15 minutes! Oh my god, they're bringing the creator of SpongeBob into... I mean, of course they are. How could they not? He was so confused as to why he was called down there, so the editor just continued the episode. Once the few frames were shown, all screaming, all sound again stopped. Squid was just staring at the viewer, full frame of the face for about 3 seconds. The shot quickly panned out, and a deep voice said, "Do it!" And we see in Squidward hands a shotgun. He immediately puts the gun to his mouth and pulls the trigger. Realistic blood and brain matter splattering the wall behind him. No, it's serious. Believe me, kind of serious. And his bed, and he flies back with force. With the force. The last 5 seconds of the episode show his body on the bed, on his side, one eye dangling on what's left of his head above the floor, staring blankly at it. Then the episode ends. Mr. Hillenberg was obviously angry at this. He demanded to know what the heck was going on. Most people left the room at this point, so it was just a handful of us to watch it again. Viewing the episode twice only served to imprint the eternity of it in my mind and caused me horrible nightmares. I'm sorry I stayed. The only theory we could think of was the file was edited by someone in the chain from the drawing studio to here. The CTO was called in to analyze what happened. The analysis of the files did show it was edited over by new material. However, the timestamp of it was a mere 24 seconds before we began viewing it. All equipment involved was examined for foreign software and hardware as well as glitches, as if the timestamp may have glitched and showed the wrong time, but everything checked out fine. We don't know what happened, and to this day, nobody does. There was an investigation due to the nature of the photos, but nothing came of it. No child scene was identified, and no clues were gathered from the data involved, nor physical clues in the photo. I never believed in unexplained phenomena before, but now that I have something happen, and I can't prove anything about it beyond anecdotal evidence, I think twice about things. And that was Squidward's suicide. That was Squidward's suicide. Credit to Anonymous. We don't know who to credit this to. Yeah, dog shit.